AB is a line segment and this is length. Now when I ask you to measure the length, like immediately without taking one single trial value, you will be taking 2 or 3 trials. So first trial you will measure it as L1, second trial you will measure it as L2, third trial you will measure it as L3, fourth trial, fifth trial, as many number of trials you can make. So these are called trial values, right? And when you take average of this, L average, which is simply called true value, is equal to L1 plus L2 plus L3 divided by, as there are 3 number, you will divide it with 3, you will be getting true value. This part is clear because we have learned in the previous video lecture itself. Now let us define one more physical quantity called absolute error. Absolute error. What is mean by absolute error? Absolute error is denoted with delta L. Absolute error delta L is modulus of true value difference trial value. So it is just modulus of difference of true value and trial value. So how here how many trial values we have? We have 3 trial values. For 3 trial values, you will get 3 absolute errors. Absolute error is just the difference of true value with the trial value. So first delta L1, you can write it as L1 minus L average, delta L2, and remember this is modulus. Delta L2 is equal to L2 minus L modulus. Delta L3 is equal to L3 minus L modulus. This is what absolute error. Absolute error. And we can find out even average of this absolute error. It is called mean absolute error. Mean absolute error. What is mean by mean absolute error? Average of absolute errors is called mean absolute error. So mean absolute error, I can write it as mean absolute error as delta L1 plus delta L2 plus delta L3 divided by 3. What you are doing here? You are getting mean absolute error. Mean absolute error is the average of absolute errors. Just like how trial value, average of trial value is true value. Similarly, absolute error is the difference of true value and trial value. Taking average of these 3, you will be getting mean absolute error. Mean absolute error is denoted with delta L. Okay, this is delta L. So how do you report measurement? You will report measurement as true value or minus mean absolute error. Measurement is equal to true value plus or minus mean absolute error. You can even write it in this way also. Like you can denote it with measurement, measured value or measured physical quantity is equal to true value plus or minus mean absolute error. This is one more thing you need to learn. And the other definition is relative error. Relative error. Relative error is equal to mean absolute error, mean absolute error by true value. So relative error is equal to simply what is mean absolute error? Delta L. What is true value? L. Delta L by L is called as relative error. This is known as relative error. Okay. And next is percentage error. Percentage error is simply relative error into 100. Relative error into 100, that is delta L by L into 100 gives you percentage error of that physical quantity. So these are the things you need to keep it in your mind. One is true value, the other one is trial value. From true and trial values, you can find out absolute error. How many trial values are there? Those many absolute errors you will be getting. Average of those all absolute errors will be giving you mean absolute error. And from mean absolute error, you can find out the measured value, which is sum of true value and plus or minus absolute mean absolute error. And then we can find out relative error. Relative error is the ratio of mean absolute error to the true value, that is delta L by L. Multiplying relative error with 100, you will be getting percentage error. So these all are simple definitions. Students, when we are making any measurement, like yesterday, like in the previous video lecture, I have told you like this is length L, which can be reported into 3 trials or 4 trials. L can be 10.1 or 10.2 or 10.3. Like these are the trial values. You are using a scale here. Likewise, suppose you have mass. Mass is measured in kg. You will be using balance. When you are measuring mass with a balance, then also you will be getting some errors. So there will be some error and you will be reporting that error concerned with percentage error or relative error. So how to deal with that I already explained. So when you are measuring any physical quantity, definitely there will be some error in that measurement. So concerned with errors, there are different classifications in errors. They are number 1, gross errors, number 2, measurement errors, and number 3, blunders. So types of errors in the measurement: gross errors, measurement errors, or blunders. Okay, so these are the 3 different types of categories where we have errors, or in general in your textbook they will be mentioning you like systematic errors. Systematic errors is the first type. Second is random errors. And the third one is gross errors. Only these 3, like in your textbook they will be giving you only these 3 categories: systematic error, random error, and gross error. But actually types of measurements, types of errors in measurement can be categorized as gross errors, measurement errors, and blunders. Blunders are very bulk, so they are very huge in number. It is simply because of carelessness of the person. And coming to measurement of errors, there are 2 different categories. They are systematic errors and random errors. And systematic errors can be again classified into different types. These all are different categories of systematic errors. They are instrumental errors, environmental errors, observational errors, and theoretical errors. So systematic errors are of these 4 types: instrumental errors, environmental errors, observational errors, theoretical errors. Random errors, they are only one type. Like random errors itself is random errors. So we have basically systematic errors, random errors, and gross errors. I'll tell you what is meant by systematic error, and then gross error, and then random error. These 3 types of errors I'll be explaining. Now let us see first what is meant by systematic error. Let us see what is meant by systematic error. systematic error. Systematic error is a unidirectional error. Systematic error is unidirectional error. Say, for example, you have a scale. And this is 0, and this is 1 centimeter, and this is 2 centimeter. When you are using this scale, what actually happens is, like if at all this scale, this part is been broken. For the scale, for this given scale, I am considering that this part is been broken. If this part is been broken, then you will be left with only this part scale. Only this part is left over. This is 1 centimeter. But actually how many divisions are there? Only 8 divisions. And here it is as usual. This is 2 centimeter. With this broken scale, if you are measuring any physical quantity, like I want to measure this length AB. Okay. So I will be measuring this length AB. So if I measure this length AB, what do you generally write? You would expect to write length is equal to, it is 1 centimeter, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. 1.5 centimeter is your answer if you measure with this particular broken scale. But actually, is it correct? No, it is not 1.5 centimeter. The actual length will be 1.3 centimeter. Why it is 1.3 centimeter? Because in the first 1 centimeter, as the scale is being broken at second division, you are not counting those 2 divisions. Therefore, if you measure length AB by considering this as initial part, this is 2 millimeter. You are not starting it from 0. You are starting it from 2 millimeter. Therefore, your final value you have obtained as 1.5. This is 1.5. But if at all you are taking this perfect scale, then the length would be here up to 1.3. Is it not? Now, when you are measuring length AB only, you are getting it as 1.5. If you take another length, say PQ, or you may take another length, some RS, any measurement if you make, when you are using the same scale, definitely this 2 millimeter which is present in forward, like in front, whatever the error which is being incorporated for this scale, that remains as it is when you are measuring length AB or PQ or RS or any value if you measure. Such type of error which is always occurring only in one direction is said to be as systematic error. Systematic errors can be corrected. These can be corrected. So how can you correct this? Actual length which we have got is 1.5 centimeter. And what is error in this? We have already noted that this is being broken at 2 millimeter. So how do you write error? Error is equal to broken, that is 2 millimeter is being broken. Right? So that is 0.2 centimeter is the broken part. Now in order to get correct measurement, what you will do? L is equal to 1.5 minus 0.2, which is equal to 1.3 centimeter. Is it not? What is this 1.5 measured value? And what is this 0.2? This is correction. Then what is error? Error is plus 0.2, that is error. Why I am taking here plus 0.2 error? Because of this broken scale, an additional 0.2 millimeter is added to the measurement. Therefore, error is positive. And in order to correct that, this broken 2 millimeter, I am subtracting it so that you are doing the correction. Therefore, error can be positive or error can be negative. Sometimes it can be error negative also. So therefore, systematic errors are unidirectional errors. These unidirectional errors can be either positive errors or negative errors. If error is positive, correction is negative. If error is negative, correction is positive. Second type of error which we generally come across is random error. Name itself tells you random error is random in nature. It is random in nature. That means it can occur in any direction. Like sometimes it can be positive, sometimes it can be negative, and you cannot expect whether it is increasing or whether it is decreasing. It is not a fixed value. For example, voltage fluctuations. Voltage fluctuations. Voltage fluctuations, like when you are dealing with voltage in your home, sometimes you may get one phase, sometimes you may get two phase. Suddenly current value may be increased, suddenly current value may be decreased. That is not fixed. You cannot tell that this is constant current which is flowing into your home. You cannot exactly tell that. And you cannot decide that whether it increases in the next second or whether it is decreasing in the next second. So voltage fluctuations are one of the best example for random errors. And next type is, like for example, if I consider I'm considering a wire. This is wire. It has some area of cross section. You are taking a wire and this is having some area of cross section. Now when you are dealing with this, like as it is wire having different cross section, like here it is area of cross section A. You will be measuring area of cross section at this point. You can measure area of cross section at this point, measure area of cross section at this point, and as well as this point. Here you are getting A1, here you are getting A2, here you are getting A3, here you are getting A4, here you are getting A5. If there is any manufacturing defect in this wire, area of cross section A1 is not equal to A2, it may either increase or it may decrease. Similarly, A3 can be greater than A2 or less than A2. Similarly, A4 can be greater than A3 or A4 can be greater than A5. Like that, there is no proper order in this case. So when you are taking a wire, copper wire, let us take a copper wire. And that copper wire, if you measure its diameter at different positions, you will be getting different values, you may get even. So such type of errors which occur random in nature are said to be as random errors. Random errors can be minimized. Remember, random errors cannot be corrected, but they can be minimized. Remember that, minimizing in the sense, if the error is very large value, you can somehow, taking some necessary precautions, you can minimize it, but you cannot correct it. So random errors can be minimized. This is one example of random errors. Random errors can occur in any direction. They can be either positive or they can be either negative. You cannot exactly decide that. And random errors can be minimized. This is the second category, which is random error. First one is systematic error. Second one is random error. Gross errors always occur in bulk. These are only due to carelessness of observer. These are only due to carelessness of the observer. Such errors are called gross errors. For example, I'll tell you one simple example. You are measuring voltage. When you are measuring voltage, we have got voltage value as V1, which is equal to 969 volt. Okay, when you measure that value, you have got 969. But in the excitement, what you will write is, you can write this as 996 volt. Okay, you are doing experiment correctly. You are measuring the voltage correctly. 969 is the voltage which you have got. But in a hurry or in an over excitement or by some physical mental mood, instead of writing 969, you are reporting it as 996. Just you are interchanging these digits here. Because of that, what have happened? 969 has become 996 volt, which is simply bulk error observed. This is very bulk error. See, 969 and 996. There is nearly a difference of 30, approximately 30 difference is there. Such type of errors, because of carelessness of the observer, we will be getting some gross errors, and these are simply due to a personal error. The person who is doing the experiment, if he makes such type of unnecessary mistakes, that encounters gross errors. Okay, so this is one example of gross error. Repetition in the measurements of a certain quantity in an experiment give you the following values. So we have got different values. How many trials you are making? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trials you are making. Calculate the mean value, mean absolute error, relative error, and percentage error. So what you need to do, like you are doing an experiment, and these are the values which you have got. This can be length or mass or any physical quantity. I am considering it as length. L1 is equal to 1.29, L2 is equal to 1.33, L3 is equal to 1.34, L4 is equal to 1.35, L5 is equal to 1.32, L6 is equal to 1.36, L7 is equal to 1.30, and L8 is equal to 1.33. So totally how many trials you are making? 8 trials. 8 trials you are making. From these all 8 trials, what you need to do, you should take true value. How to find out true value? You will add these all and you will find out the average. So true value is equal to L1 plus L2 plus L3 plus so on up to L8 divided by how many digits are there? How many values are there? 8 divided by 8. Okay. So after finding out L1, after finding out average, you have got 1.327. If I consider this as length, you can take it in centimeter or millimeter, whatever it is. But here as unit is not mentioned, we are not bothering about the physical quantity. But when you are doing calculation, check it up. In length L1, after the decimal point, how many digits are there? 2. L2, how many digits are there? 2. L3, how many digits are there? So in all these trial values, how many digits you have after decimal point? Only 2 digits. Therefore, when you are taking average, you have got after the decimal point, you have got 3 digits. So don't take 3 digits after the decimal point when you are finding out the average, because it gives you wrong information. Why it is wrong information? Say for example, L is equal to 1 millimeter. This tells you that you are measuring it with scale. L is equal to 1.1 millimeter. What does it give? It indicate that you are using vernier calipers when you are measuring that length. Similarly, L is equal to 1.01 millimeter. What does it indicate? It indicates that you are using a screw gauge, right? About information, about these all informations we have learnt in the previous video lecture. So this after the decimal point, whatever the precisions are there, these precisions depends upon the instrument which you are using. Therefore, when you are finding out the average after the decimal point, if you take 3 digits, it signifies that you are changing the instrument. Therefore, what you need to do, you need to take only 2 decimals after this decimal point. So I will be writing it as L is equal to 1.33, because this last digit you are rounding off. Last digit you are rounding off. When you are rounding off, the digit which you need to round off, if it is greater than 5, you will just raise its preceding number. As a 7 is greater than 5, you are making this 2 rise by 1 to become 3. Therefore, what is the true value now? true value is equal to 1.33. We have got true value. Next, after true value, you are supposed to calculate mean absolute error. How to find out mean absolute error? Mean absolute error is delta L1, which is 1.33 minus 1.29. Delta L2 is equal to 1.33 minus 1.33. Delta L3 is equal to 1.33 minus 1.34. Similarly, delta L4, delta L5, you will be getting delta L8. Okay. You should find out all these 8 values so that you will be getting absolute errors. After that, what you need to do, you should find out mean absolute error. Mean absolute error is equal to delta L1 plus delta L2 plus so on up to delta L8 divided by 8. So taking out these all, taking out, like if you are finding out modulus of this, modulus of this, modulus of this, you will be getting some numbers here. And delta L1, if you take out average of those all, you will be finally getting a value of 0.0175. This is mean absolute error delta L. Okay, after calculation, you will be getting 0.0175. But as I already told you, error also, like mean absolute error also should have a significant figures of only 2 digits after the decimal point. So what you need to do, you should round off this to 2 decimals, which is 0.0. 7 is greater than 5, therefore 1 is raised to 2. It can be delta L, which is 0.02. This is mean absolute error. Now we have calculated what is mean value. We have calculated a mean absolute error. Next we should calculate relative error, and then you should calculate percentage error. Relative error we should calculate, percentage error we should calculate. Remember these values, one is 1.33 and the other one is 0.2. L is equal to 1.33, which we have got. Delta L is equal to 0.02. This is mean value and this is absolute error, mean absolute error. Now how to find out relative error? Relative error is equal to delta L divided by L, which is 0.02 divided by 1.33. This and this gets cancelled. It is 2. Like if you find out this relative error, you will be getting it nearly 0.01503, and this
Yes,
should be
sir.
rounded off. This should be rounded off to 2 decimals. So you can write it as 0.02. And this can be plus or minus. That is relative error. After finding relative error, you should find out percentage error. Percentage error is equal to relative error into 100. This is plus or minus 0.02 into 100. This is equal to 2%. So percentage error in doing this experiment is 2%. If you are measuring length, length is only a single physical quantity. So you are measuring length, you will be getting some L as 2 centimeter, 3 centimeter, whatever it is. Mass you can measure. It is M is equal to some 2 kg, 4 kg, any value you may get. Similarly, time, which is fundamental quantity, you will be measuring it as 10 seconds, whatever the value it is. These all are fundamental quantities. If you are measuring fundamental quantities, we do not have any problem with that. Simply we will be going with whatever the model which we have discussed earlier, that model we will be using to find out the errors. But sometimes there may be derived physical quantities. Derived physical quantities. What are derived physical quantities? For example, let me take density. What is formula for density? Density is equal to mass by volume. That is mass divided by volume, can be length into breadth into height. Density is a physical quantity which is derived from mass and volume. Volume is also a derived quantity which is depending upon length, breadth and as well as height. This is a derived quantity. If at all you are dealing with a derived quantity, you need to measure mass. In mass there will be one error. You need to measure volume. In volume there will be error. Similarly, for example, you are measuring perimeter of rectangle. What is formula for perimeter of the rectangle? 2 into L plus B, where L is length and B is breadth. 2 into L plus B. When you are measuring length L, you will be getting some value 10.25 plus or minus 0.01. When you are measuring breadth, you will be getting some other value 5.15 plus or minus 0.01. Both length has error and as well as breadth has error. You are now finding the perimeter, which is the combination of length and breadth. Therefore, when we are dealing with physical quantities which are dependent upon each other, in such cases, you need to combine the errors. And when you are combining the errors, we have 4 different possibilities. Number 1, addition of physical quantities. Number 2, subtraction of physical quantities. Number 3, multiplication or division. Multiplication or division. Why I am writing multiplication or division mean, for example, we have a physical quantity Z which is equal to A by B. A by B we generally call it as division. Same thing I can write it like this: A B power minus 1. Without any hesitation, I can write it as A into B power minus 1. What is this called now? Multiplication. Therefore, multiplication or division, that is one type of combination. Subtraction of physical quantities, this is one combination. Addition of physical quantities, that is another combination. So whenever you are dealing with derived physical quantities, you can combine the errors, and those error combination can be addition, subtraction or multiplication. In case of perimeter of the rectangle, we have 2 physical quantities, you are adding them, therefore you are going with addition of errors. Similarly, if you are dealing with density, you are dividing mass with volume. Mass and volume both are being divided with each like mass by volume. Therefore, you are going with multiplication or division of the errors. Likewise, you may get any physical quantity which is Z is equal to A minus B. What you need to do when you are measuring A, you will be getting error. When you are measuring B, you will be getting error. In such cases, if it is subtraction, you will be dealing with subtraction of the physical quantities. So therefore, errors can be added, errors are being subtracted and as well as multiplied. So this is what called as combination of the errors. Now we need to learn about combination of the errors. Have you understood why we are like addition of errors? Now let us consider a physical quantity Z, which is combination of A and B. A is a physical quantity, B is a physical quantity, Z is a physical quantity. Z is derived physical quantity, A and B are fundamental quantities, Z is derived from A and B. When you are reporting A, how do you write A? A is equal to A plus or minus delta A. And when you are reporting B, how do you write? B plus or minus delta B. Because A has some error, B also has some error. And when you are dealing with Z, Z also should have some error, that is plus or minus delta z. Okay. Now substitute these all values here. Z plus or minus delta z is equal to a plus or minus delta a plus b plus or minus delta b. This is a plus b. I can take plus or minus common. You can simply write delta a plus delta b. Okay. This is z plus or minus delta z. But what is a plus b? A plus b is z. Z plus or minus delta z is equal to a plus b is z plus or minus delta a plus delta b. Z and z can be cancelled. Finally, what do you get? Delta z is equal to plus or minus, here also plus or minus, delta a plus delta b. Therefore, delta z is the error which is in the derived physical quantity. In order to get error in the z value, you are just adding the individual errors, delta a plus delta b. Okay, this is addition of errors. Now let us discuss subtraction of errors. When you are subtracting two physical quantities, what would happen? Similarly, you will be taking here also, I will be taking z which is equal to a minus b. I can write z plus or minus delta z is equal to a plus or minus delta a minus of b plus or minus delta b. This is a minus b plus or minus, if I take it common here, leftover will be delta a plus delta b. This is what is a minus b? A minus b is z plus or minus delta a plus delta b. That is z and z gets cancelled. What you are getting? Delta z is equal to delta a plus delta b. Most of you make mistake here. So understand that when you are subtracting two physical quantities or when you are adding two physical quantities, their errors should be added, errors should not be subtracted. Errors are always added, even physical quantities are subtracted. Even though physical quantities are subtracted, errors should be added. Remember that. When you are subtracting the physical quantity, most of you will subtract the errors, but that gives you wrong result. It is because, say for example, we have got L is equal to 10.2 plus or minus 0.5 centimeter. That is the error which we have got measured in L. B is equal to 10.3 plus or minus 0.5 centimeter. And Z is equal to L minus B. So if you are subtracting this L minus B, like it can be 6, let me take it as 6, 10.6. Z is equal to L minus B. If you are subtracting this, what do you get? 10.6 minus 10.3, that is 0.3, which is Z. But what about error? Delta Z is equal to, actually, as I told you, you should add errors even though physical quantities are subtracted. So if you add them, you will be getting 0.5 plus 0.5, which is equal to 1.0. But if errors are subtracted, what is happening? 0.5 minus 0.5, which gives you 0. Never error will be 0. Is anytime error 0 possible? Definitely not. Definitely there will be some kind of error when you are making any measurement. So literally, if you are subtracting the errors, it means that you are vanishing the errors. You are making error to become 0. But remember, errors will not decrease, errors will not become 0. Errors can be somehow minimized in the experiment itself by taking trial values. And taking the average, you can minimize them, but you cannot make it 0. Therefore, even though you are adding the physical quantities, you you are subtracting the physical quantities, definitely you should add the errors. Don't ever subtract the errors. Multiplication or division of physical quantities. Say for example, Z is equal to A divided by B. How do you write A by B? A by B can also be written as A B power minus 1. Is it not? So whenever you are dealing with multiplication or division, here also you can add their relative errors. Right? Z is a physical quantity which is depending upon A and B. So Z is a physical quantity which is depending upon A and B. Therefore, when you are dealing with Z, in order to find out error in Z, what you will do? You will add the relative errors in A and B. Okay, so what I'll do now, let relative error in A is equal to delta A by A. Similarly, relative error in B is equal to delta B by B. Similarly, relative error in Z, how do you write? Delta Z by Z. So when we are dealing with multiplication or division, simply you can use this relation, relative error in Z is equal to sum of relative errors of all dependent physical quantities. So how do you write this relative error in Z? Delta Z by Z is equal to delta A by A plus delta B by B. Okay. So relative errors in case of multiplication and division, you should add their relative errors. Only that is the difference. In case of addition and subtraction, you are just adding the errors. But in case of multiplication and division, you should add their relative errors. I'll give you one simple example here. Let me take a physical quantity Z is equal to A square B divided by C. Okay. Now you have Z. Z is a physical quantity and this Z is depending upon A, B and C. As Z depends on A, comma B, comma C, relative error in Z also depends on relative errors in A, comma B and C. Okay. So as Z is depending upon all the three quantities, therefore Z relative error in Z also depends upon three physical quantities A, B and as well as C. But check it up here, A is repeated for twice, A square. A square in the sense A is repeated for twice. So how do you write it? A into B divided by C. Okay. Then how do you write relative error? Delta Z by Z is equal to relative error in Z is depending upon this A, this B and this C. So how do you write relative error in A? Delta A by A plus delta A by A plus delta B by B plus delta C by C. Whether it is multiplication or division, you don't bother about it. Simply on what factors, on what physical quantities it is depending upon, simply are there relative errors. Delta A by A, delta A by A, there is twice. Therefore, I can write delta Z by Z is equal to 2 times delta A by A plus delta B by B plus delta C by C. This is how you will combine the errors in case of multiplication or division of the physical quantities.